The billionaire laughed. He leaned back in his leather chair, tapped the table with his gold pen, and said with a smirk, "Go ahead, call whoever you want." He thought it was a joke. It wasn't. And when the voice on the other end answered, the air inside that glass conference room changed. Before we continue, tell me in the comments, what time is it where you're watching from? And what city are you in right now? Now let me tell you what really happened. For 9 days, Elijah Moore had tried everything. That part matters, because nobody in that tall building knew what those 9 days looked like. When Victor Hale saw the old man standing in his office doorway, torn coat, worn shoes, canvas bag hanging from his shoulder, he saw only the outside. He did not see the effort. He did not see the doors that had already closed. He did not see the nights without sleep. 3 weeks earlier, Elijah had typed a letter at the public library on Grant Street. 2 full pages. Calm, respectful, clear. He explained the situation at the Harborview Apartments. He listed the families. He asked for a meeting. No answer came. He called the development office 4 times. Each time a different assistant. Each time the same promise. "We'll follow up." Nobody did. He attended a city planning meeting. Sat for 5 hours on a hard wooden bench, waiting for the demolition item. It was quietly removed from the agenda. He visited legal aid. A young lawyer with tired eyes explained gently, "The permit is legal. The purchase is legal. The timeline is legal." 10 days remained. 16 families lived in Harborview, not on official leases, not protected by contracts, but human. There was Maria, 61, sober for 2 years, finally approved for housing support, but not active for another 5 weeks. There was Jamal, 32, working nights at a warehouse, raising his 7-year-old son alone. There was Mr. and Mrs. Baptiste, both in their 70s, immigrants who spoke little English, waiting for their daughter in Atlanta to secure space for them. Elijah knew every name, every story, because he did not help from a distance. He lived there. He ate with them. He fixed broken heaters. He stayed when ambulances left. But Elijah had not always lived like that. 25 years ago, he wore suits. He owned a consulting firm. He had a home with a blue door on Crescent Avenue. He had a wife named Hannah, and a daughter named Lily. Lily was 14 when a distracted driver ran a red light. She survived. But survival is not the same as recovery. Hospital bills came like waves. Insurance delayed everything. Savings disappeared. The house went. The business followed. Hannah held on for years, until her heart could not carry grief anymore. After she passed, Elijah sat in a church basement one winter evening, surrounded by people who had lost everything too. And for the first time in his life, he felt something real. Not status, not success, community. He never left. Years passed. He became the one people called when things went wrong. So when Harborview received a demolition notice, 10 days, 16 families, they looked at him. "What do we do?" Elijah said, "I will go speak to him." He meant Victor Hale, billionaire developer, owner of Hale Industries. He also said something else. "I have one more option, but I want to try the right way first." The night before, he had made a quiet call. An old friend. That friend had said, "Try your way first. If he refuses, call me." Now we return to the 34th floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows. The city shining below like it belonged to the man inside. Victor Hale was 50. Sharp suit. Silver at the temples. Confidence built over decades of winning. 3 executives sat across the table. Elijah stood before them in his worn coat. Victor listened as Elijah explained everything. The families, the timelines, the 9 days, the letters, the calls, the council meeting, the legal office. He did not beg. He did not threaten. He simply said, "Give them 60 days. Victor leaned back. "Sir," he said slowly, "the permits are approved. They are not legal tenants. My investors are waiting. There is nothing I can do." He paused, then added with a smile, "And there is nothing you can do either." A quiet chuckle moved around the table. Elijah nodded once. then reached into his pocket. "You won't mind," he said softly. "If I make a call?" Victor laughed. A full laugh. The kind powerful men use when they feel untouchable. "Call whoever you want." Elijah pressed dial. It rang once, twice, then, "Eli, I've been expecting your call." The laughter stopped. Instantly. Because that voice. Victor knew that voice. The entire country knew that voice. It belonged to Senator Daniel Whitaker, former governor, future presidential candidate, a man whose endorsements moved markets, a man Victor had donated thousands to, a man who had once stood in Elijah's kitchen eating soup prepared by Hannah. Elijah spoke calmly. "It went as we thought. Would you be willing to speak with Mr. Hale?" A pause. Then, "Put him on." Elijah extended the phone. Victor hesitated, then took it. The room became silent. For 4 long minutes, nobody moved. Victor's expression shifted. Confidence faded. Color drained. He nodded once, then twice. When he returned the phone, his hands were no longer steady. He looked at Elijah differently now. "You tried every door first," Victor said quietly. "Yes. You wrote the letter, made the calls, sat in council. Yes. You gave me the chance to do this the right way. Yes." Victor swallowed. "I looked at you and saw a joke." He paused. "I'm sorry. Not polished. Not corporate. Real." Elijah held his gaze. "Don't forget this moment," he said. "Comfort makes people blind." Victor nodded. 60 days, he said. "Full relocation support, funding, placement assistance. My team will coordinate." He hesitated. "But I don't know what these families need." "You do." Elijah's eyes softened. "I'll show you." When Elijah stepped back onto the sidewalk, nothing about him looked different. Same torn coat, same worn shoes, same old bag. But 16 families still had a roof tonight. And something else had happened. On the 34th floor, a crack had formed in a man who had not been challenged in years. Sometimes power does not change through lawsuits. Sometimes it changes through exposure, through being seen, through being reminded. Elijah walked toward Harborview. Maria would want to know first. Then Jamal. Then the Baptistes. 60 days had been won. Not through shouting. Not through threats. But because one man tried every decent door first. And when those doors closed, he dialed the one person who remembered who he used to be. If the story moved you, type 60 days in the comments. Because sometimes, time is the greatest gift you can give someone.